So there's a new idiom or language model. When I say new, how new is it? For you to call some offshoot pidgin language a new language, you could easily go back and brush up or clean up the anomalous errors with certain idiom code meanings, right? But what you find at the base is that God, Thee, I, all these references back, or God's people, those who supposedly follow the sort of monad-based, pure, perfect spiritual union of a godly path or a monadic sort of pathway, are them or they, right? So in our language references, we are always discounting ourselves and implying a law over ourselves that that we are taught, in fact, swayed toward not following, right? And that's what creates this disparate separation between these quasi or so-called elites and the proletariat, the average everyday sort of person, that is. But a new idiom has emerged that uses complex systems logic. That is, it's already the way we all think. Part of this coding, part of this branding has been done from TikTok and watching shorts and using this sort of MK Ultra self-assumed personal resignation toward programming. But what else do you have, right? You're subjected to a certain type of food, a certain work behavior, a certain atmosphere, position, juxtaposition, where you are now sitting in the place that you think, or at least you rely on the fact that free will is involved with the very footsteps that led you to sitting in the very place that you are now, or standing in the place that you're working or residing wherever you are, where in fact it was a syllogistic algorithm that forced you into the very position that you are now. And if you didn't believe in some sort of self-assemblance of free will, most people would suicide themselves, right? So they'd be bad robots. But this idiom that is emerging only needs to be the words, the etymology, the nomenclature only needs to be affirmed and identified. And then what I recommend to people is that you write this down and ask yourself from a rationalistic perspective, is this the way that you want to not only communicate with yourself, like systems logic, right? Or do you think that communicating this to each other, that is the people within your inner circle, the people that you supposedly love, which now has been bit-filed into a conditional value-based prompt situation, that two computational systems have to be in sync, in some sort of union, only pretending that you have that there is an emotion or an energy-based movement application that is at the very hub of this echo chamber self-reference, or why you exist, right? So what do you really exist for? What is the terminology that is being used? We need to look at academic circles, and then we need to see the colloquial mechanism, the way that people are speaking and referentially re-espousing or reappropriating these words into street talk or street meaning. And then you have to come into this sort of median or average of what this nomenclature, because it's really simple what's being done, and that is that there's a confusion, and it's only a confusion between 3 to 5 different reference points, right? You have 3 to 5 different words circulating out there that mean exactly the same thing. Well, once you, like learning a new language or an idiom, you just need to recognize the basic verb endings to understand what is really being said, right? From a conditional sense, from a conditional perspective. And that is, when we say conditions, we're saying the very thing or item at hand that forms reality is not what we together truly agree upon. In other words, we're sinning or signing against ourselves and taking away from the very value system, right? And don't look past the Prince or Machiavelli and just discount what he was saying. Encoded in there was the mocking betrayal, a chess move, if you will, as to say that once the people decide that this isn't, from an applications perspective of true values, you have to get down to who you are and what you are, and to be able to identify this through simple, pure principle systems, right? You can't have a sort of wavy notion about the self. It has to be integer-based. It has to be grounded in application, and there has to be a referential pecking order of how this resonance, the resonant response, becomes a you at all. Otherwise, you're just superfluous parts that are laying around for the actualization, the optimization of this default systems logic, which is just using you in the best way that it can, but it doesn't proclaim to be the ultimate solution for anything. Just like the U.S. Constitution wasn't written as a permanent measure, it was written as a temporary measure. It's a love letter saying, please become better. Please become better versions of yourself. Please become a superior union, at least to this marked point in time, right? So unfortunately, people who feel like it's too burdensome have to take on the fact that these symbols, these sigils, these signs are something that you personally have to use your own systems logic, and that's going to require a tremendous amount of personal belief, right? Because this has to be sustained and done on a regular basis. You have to set aside time to do this, but that in the application of these symbols and these sigils and these signs, it reveals a backward engineering of yourself, right? And this is really how you get to know the self.